Welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at sketching angles on the unit circle or on the XY plane using radians. So in the last video, we talked about how different angles can be related to degrees through radians and how really the key is pi is 180 degrees. And so here I'm actually going to start with C here. I think it's a bit easier to start with C. 3 pi over 4. Well, if we know that 0 degrees is here, or 0 radians, this is the initial side of my angle. And then if I open this up and go around the circle, that is going to be the direction that we go for positive. If I go all the way around, that's going to come to 2 pi radians. Halfway around is 180, or pi radians. So here we need to go 3 pi over 4, or we can think of this as 3/4 of pi. So I just need to chop this into quarters, and I need to go 3 of those. 1, 2, 3 pi over 4 is right here. And we're going to be interested in this reference angle quite a bit. Let me clean this up. Oh. So I'm going to be interested in the reference angle, which is to the x-axis. What is this? Well, it's 45 degrees. All right. Now, what happens if I have something like 9 pi over 4? This is going to be a bit more work. We know if I start here at 0, if I go around once, that's 2 pi. 2 pi, if I change it to a common denominator, is going to be 8 pi over 4. And so we can see to get to 9 pi over 4, we need one more pi over 4. And so pi over 4 is just going to be here. My reference angle here is 45 degrees, or pi over 4 radians. Take a look at B. Remember what negative does? We're going backwards. We're going around the circle this way. Now, negative 7 pi over 6. I've got 0 pi. I'm thinking now in terms of 6. I could come back around. This would be 2 pi. So if I went, since I'm going this direction, this is negative pi and negative 2 pi. If I change this into common denominators, this is negative 6 pi over 6, or negative pi over here. This would be negative 12 pi over 6. So negative 7 pi over 6. We're going to have to go here. That's 6 pi over 6 that direction. I need to go one more pi over 6. So I need to break this top piece into 6. That's going to end right here at negative 7 pi over 6. So let me draw that out a little more clearly. This angle right here is going to be negative 7 pi over 6. Look at D. Negative 5 pi over 2. I'm again, negative tells me I'm going backwards. This is negative pi over 2. If I keep going, this is negative pi. And I could keep counting if I wanted to. I know that this is going to be negative 2 pi, which is negative 4 pi over 2. I can see I need one more half of a pi to get 5/2 pi. So I can see my final answer is actually just going to be right here at negative 5 pi over 2. We see this, we talked in one video about coterminal. These two angles are coterminal. They're the same angle, the same terminal end. This one just goes around once before it gets there. Let's take a look at E. Negative 17 pi over 6. Again, I'm starting at 0. I'm going in the negative direction, so I'm going this way. You can see negative 17 pi over 6 is going to be quite a bit. So negative pi, again, just fractions here, common denominators, negative 6 pi over 6. If I keep going, this will be negative 2 pi, which is negative 12 pi over 6. So if I go around all the way to here, that's going to be negative 3 pi. And I see that's negative 18 pi over 6 if I get common denominators. And that's a little bit too far. I need to come back 1 pi over 6. So I can see if I go around once, and then almost 1.5. That's going to give me negative 17 pi over 6. And that reference angle we're interested in is 30 degrees. I might mention there's not really a reference angle in part D here. Over here I didn't talk about the reference angle. We see it's 30 degrees again. And then that sets us up for the last one here, 17 pi over 4. 0, I'm now going positive direction, so you could count pi over 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 pi over 6. Pi over 4, that's actually quicker than I thought it was. And then the reference is 45 degrees. It's helpful, though, to think through the radians. So 0, this is pi, which is the same as 4 pi over 4. This is 2 pi, which is 8 pi over 4. I can see 16 pi over 4. 4 pi over 4. Sorry. What I meant to say was 4 pi is the same as 16 pi over 4. So 17 pi over 4 ends up being here. So I go around once, that's 2 pi. Twice, that's 4 pi. And one more time to get to 17 pi over 4. So in this video, we looked at how to find angles using the terminal side here and recognizing I'm working with radians and fractions. So to get common denominators, I can think of going around once as 2 pi, which is 8 pi over 4, and then kind of build from there. In this last example, I just counted. I knew pi over 4 was 45 degrees, so I just went 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I got off one, 17. And that's the danger of counting. So I'll leave you